Hi, today's video is mainly for new bloggers, but I know some bloggers who have been blogging a while who could also use some of this advice. I've been blogging for 12 years or so. Actually, you could say 20 years because when the internet was new, at least to me, I joined one of those sites where you could write whatever you wanted to. It was called My Dear Diary. Yeah, I used to journal in diary. Who cares? What? Got something? Got a problem with it? Want to fight about it? Anyway, I've been writing online for a long time, and I've got a number of blogs. I've had a number of blogs. I've written for a lot of other blogs. I still write for a couple of other blogs. And I'm thinking that I may not necessarily be a big name in the game, but I've been doing it long enough that I have the right to offer advice on the topic of blogging. I got a lot of videos here to talk about blogging. So back in 2014, I wrote a post giving 55 tips and ideas about blogging, because that's the year I turned 55. I know I look like I'm in my 30s, but I'm not. Look at this hair, please, really? Anyway, I decided that I was going to share 7 things that I wrote in that post. I'm going to link up here. Let's see. I never know what direction it is. Anyway, you're going to see a link. You're going to see that little eye pop up. And that's going to be the blog post if you want to go back and check it out to see all 55 things I did. That was a 3,600 word post, so I hope you check it out. And I realize I haven't done this, so I'm just going to say this now, that if you like this kind of thing, I'm not going to be doing 30 days in a row all that often. This is just a new thing. But I'd love to get subscribers. I know I'm not going to come close to that 1,000 subscribers anytime soon, but I would like more subscribers. And if you want to get notification of this, hit that little bell thing. Because what happens when you subscribe is that it shows up in your subscription feed, but it doesn't necessarily let you know that there's something new. But if you hit that bell, then it will say, hey, Mitch has a new video out there. I think I did this the other day, so I'm going to tell you the same thing. You may want to wait until May to do this if you don't want to be hearing from me every single day this month. Although I think you should, but if you don't want to, please don't do it. Okay, so let's talk about these 7 things. And I just picked them at random, but I think that they're things that if you're a new blogger, you should think of. And some of them, if you're an existing blogger, something else to think about. So the first thing, I recommend this always to anybody who says they want to start blogging. Sit down and write 10 articles. You don't have to write all 10 of them in the same day, but write 10 articles. Write them on your subject if you can, but I usually like to say, you know what, just write something just to prove that you can write it. But write 10 articles. And if you can't write 10 articles, don't even think about blogging. Now, that may sound kind of tough and kind of cruel, but let's face the facts. How many of you in high school hated writing? You hated writing papers. Even in college, you hated writing papers. You might have hated it in middle school. If you hated to write back then, you might not like to write now. So don't get pressured into blogging just because you think it's going to help your business. It will, but only if you can stay consistent. So that's the first bit of advice. Now, the next bit, I kind of mentioned it in the first one, which is this concept of niche blogging. Some people call it niche. I think it sounds goofy, so I call it niche blogging. In essence, what that means is that you have a subject. Maybe it's going to be cutting puppy fingernails, or whatever they're called, paw nails. Anyway, maybe that's your topic. Maybe that's what you are. You're a dog groomer, so you want to write something on this. Well, that's fine. You know what? If you think you can write enough articles on that to sustain your blog over the course of a couple of years, go for it. You have to watch out for making something a little bit too defined, however. If you're a dog groomer, you do a lot more than nails. So you may want to talk about the entire thing. Also, you may want to talk about how you keep pets quiet or calm while you're doing it. You may want to be promoting your business on how you do this. So you want to talk about that for people who've never taken their pets to something like that. So if you can do that, if you think that you can write something on a lot, then that should be your niche. You can, like I said, you can spread it out a little bit. For instance, I have a finance blog, and as long as it's on financial issues, I've got the whole world I can write on. So that's a big thing. If you can do niche blogging, do it. Now, the next thing talks about images. Images did not used to be a big thing when I started blogging, but it became a big thing because people like something that catches their eye. And it almost doesn't matter what it is. I used to try to use a lot of pictures from, oh my God, Flickr. I had an app on the phone, on my blog, that would pull in different images. Well, then that sucker failed, so I had to start going a different route. And I love taking pictures. I got thousands of pictures that I've taken, so I started using my own pictures. I'm in a lot of them. Me and other friends are in a lot of them, but I just use my own pictures. And I try to do something so that it fits the blog. I don't do so well on YouTube. As you look down below, it says relax, and I'm wearing a Syracuse shirt. But relax actually fits because I'm giving you some advice. If you're a little uptight as to what you should do with blogging, I'm hoping to solve that. But you know what? You put an image on there, and at least it helps look better visually. My usual rule is that if I write more than 800 words in an article, I'll put 2 images on. And then in every other 500, I may put an image. So if you check out this blog post I linked to, you're going to see a whole bunch of images on there. It just helps to break things up, and it gets people to pay attention to everything else because there's images on there. Now, here's the next thing. This is the concept of how much should I write? And I'm going to tell you, it goes back and forth. These days, it seems that search engines, okay, the big G likes longer articles. I think it's because you can pop more SEO things in there. And of course, I did that video a few days ago about SEO. And it helps them to drive, authority to your article. And then that gets more people to see it if they're searching for you. Truthfully, I think that you can get away with writing a lot shorter. I mean, like I said, this article is 3,600. I usually write at least 1,000 words or get pretty close to that. But if an article is strong enough or you can get away with 400 words, do it. Now, you're going to have some people who can say, well, I can write 100 words or I can write 200 words, but I don't need anything big. Well, think about you. I know that they say that people's attention spans are less now than they used to be, but how many times are you going to visit a blog where each article is 100 or 200 words? You're just not going to, unless it's one of those picture blogs where it's just got the most beautiful pictures, or maybe it's fashion and they're only describing a little bit. But truthfully, if those people are putting up pictures and they're describing what's in the picture, most of them tend to write more than 100 or 200 words. So it's just something to think about. My usual general rule of thumb, is write what you would read. That's how I sometimes say it's more important for you to like what you write than anybody else, because if you wouldn't read it, then why are you writing it for someone else? So that's that one. Now, you have a lot of folks who say that any article you write, you should tell people what it's about in the first 2 or 3 sentences. You should have a strong opening. And I'm going to tell you that's kind of true. For instance, if you're writing about something specific, say I want to talk about wood carving. I want to teach you how to carve relax. Okay, now this is specific. This is a technical thing, with different types of saws and maybe some kind of thing so you can make the wood smoother. Yes, make sure that those first few sentences tell everybody exactly what it is. Most of my blog posts don't do that because I like to consider myself more of a storyteller. So I like to have my own type of opening. I read a lot of fiction, so I have my opening, but then I get to the heart of the matter. So I kind of violate that. But if you read my articles, if you have no idea what I'm writing about, then you have no idea what I'm writing about, because it's plain, it's simple. I don't do a lot of SEO on purpose in my articles, but it's easy to know what I'm writing about. It just is. If you don't know, then it's a topic that's not for you and you're not going to read it. And the search engines know when they're paying attention. I wrote something a long time ago where I said I do really good on Bing and Yahoo and DuckDuckGo, but Google doesn't always like me so much, which is how come I'm not necessarily super big on Google, even though they own YouTube. Hi. But I think that, if you're writing to highlight something specific, Yeah, those first few lines really need to be strong, and you need to have a good ending as well. But if you think you can get into it in story, go that route. You know what? People love to read stories, and if you can write in the manner where it looks like you're telling a story and getting to something, do it. Next, a lot of people say, well, I don't know everything to write about. I'm just not so sure. You know, we got this thing called the internet. You can go on a search engine. You can search. You can go to the library. You just need topics. If you know anything about your subject, if you have some ideas, you will be able to write something. But there's always something. You can look at news. You can look at magazines. You can have anything that you do, and you should be able to write about it. Because this leads me to the last point, which is you can write about your topic by relating it to anything else. So on my blogs, I've connected blogging with chess. I've connected it with airports. I've connected it with poker. On my business blog, I talked about the leadership style of Harry Potter and Charlie Brown. I connected it to all those years of piano lessons I took. I mean, my goodness, it's just the type of thing I do. When I talked about marketing, I wrote an article and I talked about Yosemite Sam and how he markets. He's probably, if you want to learn anything about marketing, go watch some Yosemite Sam cartoons, because he will tell you that he is the top this and this and this, and he's done this and this and this. That's a lot of chutzpah. But there's a guy who is not scared to let you know just how bad he is. It's a great lesson to learn. So there's 7 things. I have just given you 7 quick ideas about blogging. I could have gone on forever, but I think this is long enough. Go check out the article. Let me know what you think of these points. If you read the article, let me know what you think of that. Leave a comment on that article. I'd love to see a comment on that article. My name is Mitch Mitchell. I hope y'all have a wonderful day.